Hi, folks. Pastor Mike Spalding here with my good friend and big brother.
I'm Pastor Casper, and we're here together to encourage you to keep listening to Deception Detection Radio, because we're both on this network with our individual shows.
Yes,
and
yes.
we're going to be doing some things together as well. Nudge, nudge, say no more.
Hey, folks, tune in Deception Detection Radio. Some of the best programming in Christian talk, news, encouragement, and Bible studies. God bless you.
God bless.
Walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the
Welcome
sky.
to Shield of the Sun with Michael Herr.
Hello there. Welcome to our Shield of the Sun video. In this video entitled Dwight D. Eisenhower in the Nephilim, we're going to talk about Dwight D. Eisenhower and his various meetings and involvements with the Nephilim, aka alien beings, as that is known within this world today. As many people are waking up to the understandings and the realities of the Bible, it is always good to wake up to many of the things that have taken place in history that isn't taught to you in your history books. And one of the things that isn't taught to you in your history books is the administration that was under Dwight D. Eisenhower, who was a former president of the United States during the 1950s, and some of the things that had transpired during his presidency. His presidency is remembered in history as being one of the most uneventful presidencies in history, which is to say, it's considered to have been peaceful and tranquil and prosperous, and it was the age of when a lot of baby boomers were born and things of this sort. However, would it surprise you to know that his presidency, from the eyes of Eisenhower, former president, former general, was perceived a lot differently than the rest of the American citizens he was to govern? And to understand this properly, let us look at the information accurately and relate this information to you. So this will add to your knowledge, your edification, on a lot of the things that have been buried in history, covered up by governments, and denied by government officials. So, this starts back in 1953. President Truman would hand the reins of power to a once-ranked five-star general who held a pretty controversial command during World War II, and his name was Dwight D. Eisenhower, and he became president of the United States of America. The secrets that President Eisenhower knew, of what is dubbed the alien secrets, was believed to be many. In fact, so much that Eisenhower is believed to be one of the original co-conspirators who agreed with and even helped to establish the cover-up policies that pertains to what is called the alien information and the exchanges of advanced technologies. Eisenhower is believed to have been one of the original members of Majestic 12, also known as Majority 12, wherein it's had different names since then. This was a group that was formed during Truman's presidency and was formed for the sole purpose of continuing research with what is called alien beings and covering up said research with what is called alien beings by suppressing and eliminating any information regarding the matters Majestic 12 was to handle. The policies pertaining to the cover-up of these matters was to initialize propaganda, false information, and predictive programming through Hollywood entertainment and media, and spread disinformation through media, books, and public education, and even to assassinate certain persons that could effectively leak or prove the matters they took an oath to cover up. This is why the Bible talks about not taking oaths or involving yourself with secret pacts or secret meetings. Majestic 12 was a group that consisted of 12 original members, and each of the 12 having an apprentice with them. And after them comes other members who directly work for the key members of the group, who would be a group of military officers, scientists, and other various professionals. These employees of Majestic 12 work to understand, communicate, and work with alien beings and have used the government to initialize policy even from these so-called alien beings. Former President Eisenhower was noted as not being much of a believer in God, but had more atheistic views when it came to God and life. But Eisenhower did have a spiritual side, but we wouldn't call it Christian-based, but one that caused Eisenhower throughout his life to have a very strong belief in life on other planets. Yep, it amazes me what kind of person Satan can deceive. Eisenhower, during his 1950s presidency, was noted for a couple of things. One, he was noted for going on vacation in Palm Springs very often. And for two, he was noted for having many secret meetings. Meetings that took place at Edwards Air Force Base in California and at Holloman Air Force Base located in New Mexico at the time of the 1950s. In fact, throughout Eisenhower's time as president, he was so noted for being on vacation or at a secret meeting that he was noted for creating any excuse he can to be either at Palm Springs or at Holloman's Air Force Base. Holloman's Air Force Base is located right here in New Mexico, and it is a place where a lot of meetings took place. He would tell other persons he was supposed to have meetings that he forgot about their meeting or had other matters to attend, or he had to see a dentist and other excuses, where he would even leave a place without warning and not come back for hours or never come back. Basically, Eisenhower was supposed to be at this meeting with these constituents, or at this meeting talking to these people, or at this meeting with these delegates, and things of this sort. He often had a habit of not showing up to the scheduled meetings he was supposed to show up to. And he often had a habit for coming up with some very weird excuses for why. For instance, he often used to state he had to see a dentist or a doctor or something of the sort. What's interesting about that is that when you check out Eisenhower's life in the archives and things of the sort, what you find is that he doesn't have any record of seeing any dentist while he was in the White House. But yet he would tell people he had to go see a dentist when he couldn't go to their meeting. And what was often believed was that these are just excuses he would use in order to excuse himself because he had another meeting that he couldn't tell them about. In fact, Eisenhower's pattern became very predictable, of always needing to attend meetings at Edwards Air Force Base, and in fact, most of his meetings took place in New Mexico, at the Holloman Air Force Base, and then after these meetings, he needed a vacation to be left alone for a while. Must have been some awful, stressful, nerve-wracking, painstaking meetings during what was called the peaceful, innocent era of 1950s America. I guess that propaganda department was pretty flawless back then. But truth is something you cannot hide. What was believed to have taken place during Eisenhower's administration is that during the periods of 1954 to Eisenhower's final year in the White House, Eisenhower had many nerve-wracking and fearful meetings with what are dubbed alien beings. At Edwards Air Force Base, and most of these meetings, as you know, taking place in New Mexico at the Holloman Air Force Base, and till this day, from the 1950s and onward, there has been released witness testimonies from former military officers, journalists, and investigators who are on record stating that either they themselves were at some of these meetings or spoke about others who were there. Till this day, there is even video evidence leaked from government vaults showing clips of real footage from some of these meetings showing the entities landing their ships and even walking up to Eisenhower and his group to greet them. The Holloman Air Force Base is the place where most of the meetings took place. The base is not that far away from the Roswell crash site. In fact, so many meetings took place there that during 1954 to 1956, hundreds of witnesses were on record who lived in that area of New Mexico stated seeing UFO crafts flying in and out of Holloman Air Force Base. Sightings were also reported at Edwards Air Force Base as well. These meetings were believed to be so tense that after they were over, Eisenhower could not be around people, and he needed some rest, so he would go to Palm Springs to be left alone with his thoughts. So the question becomes, what was happening at these meetings? What kind of stress was Eisenhower under that made him want to go to Palm Springs to be left alone? The scope of these meetings have been explained in various ways regarding details, as usually that tends to happen when different individuals give their take on things. So to make it right is to see what is commonly spoken and what the meetings were really all about. It is believed that meetings like this have been taking place in one form or another since George Washington's days, and each era has had different policies were enacted. During the era of Eisenhower, the beings were noted for intimidation and threats, using such tactics as threatening to expose themselves to the public, threatening to attack the United States or other countries, etc., threatening other matters as well. And then when these threats and intimidations were made by said alien beings, then meetings were arranged by the United States government officials to discuss the problems at these Air Force bases. It should be noted that at the same time meetings like this were occurring with the United States, Russia, along with their shadow government, were having meetings as well. These meetings were usually with these alien beings would culminate to complaints from these alien beings about certain matters and things that were considered outlandish things, usually deceiving things and intimidating matters, all in an effort to get their way with the human governments and the United States and other world powers. While Eisenhower and the group of MJ-12 members would find ways to give them what they want, as long as MJ-12 gets also what they want, and the policies of secrecy would continue to remain. Yeah. So basically what we have is a United States officials supposedly voted for by the people, some hired by those they voted for, went and had secret meetings with demonic beings who were noted for saying outlandish things, intimidating ways, fearful tactics, making threats, things of this sort, all in an effort of diplomacy to get what they want. And MJ-12, instead of realizing what kind of a threat they were dealing with, what kind of things they were dealing with, and why the urgency of looking into the Bible and understanding other matters was very important, they instead put the Bible on the shelf, came with their alien beliefs, and decided to have diplomatic relations with them. These relations would entail that MJ-12, the administrators, the secret government within our own open government, that they would get the things that they wanted, and then let these beings have the things that they wanted, all in an effort for exchange of advanced technology and ideas. Isn't that rather disturbing when you think about it? How a government can use its people for fodder like that and allow things to happen? The peace is restored, as these meetings would then entail, thinking or Eisenhower and his men to believe. But really, much of the bulk of the meetings shows that the entities were playing psychological tactics with them, for reasons still unknown to MJ-12, but explained in the Bible. The entities wanted policies within our entertainment and propaganda and community institutions, that would include K-12 and all these other groups, to be enacted along with the allowance of experimentations on Earth regarding its animals, nature, and on human beings. And the government in turn would receive advance technology of various matters, materials, knowledge, etc. MJ12 mostly believes that they are in contact with gods of old, while the Bible does not support that. Some believe that they were contacting life on other planets, like they were Captain Kirk and they just met the Vulcans or something, you know. It's pretty terrible, but this is the mindset a lot of them had during these meetings. During Eisenhower's presidency, Eisenhower was noted for his close friendship and his political work with one named Nelson Rockefeller. In public, it would look like Nelson worked under Eisenhower, but in truth, it was mostly in private the other way around. Nelson Rockefeller was the power and money that backed Eisenhower all the way to the White House. The kind of fame and attention Eisenhower enjoyed was believed to have been paid for by the family members of Nelson Rockefeller. Nelson Rockefeller was a powerful member of the Council on Foreign Relations, a group that is strongly believed to have more power than the White House and actually governs the true power, policies, and affairs of the United States of America. Eisenhower was believed often sought Nelson for advice and conclusions in dealing with what are dubbed alien problems and meetings. Eisenhower also handed to Nelson Rockefeller many of those strange community policies the so-called aliens wanted to enforce. As you know, it was Nelson Rockefeller who reinforced those New Deal programs that started under Roosevelt and Truman, and then he restructured them to be enforced as government taxation policies. Thus, departments like health, education, and welfare, the restructuring of K-12, and many other community institutions were born with tighter funding from the government, with others that have been controversial and horrible events within these particular policies were all to become mainstays due to the cultivation work that Nelson Rockefeller engaged in, believed to have been based from the ideas of the secret meetings Eisenhower attended. Under Eisenhower, life in the 1950s America looked uneventful, but behind the scenes, all kinds of terrible secrets, evil agendas, and horrific meetings and ridiculous policies were enacted that is now spilling over upon the American people today and the people all around the world. That is the bulk of the accurate information regarding what Eisenhower was involved with during his administration. As you know, the man who took over from Eisenhower was John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy actually was a close friend to Eisenhower. In fact, many say Eisenhower groomed John F. Kennedy. And John F. Kennedy learned a lot from Eisenhower. The two used to talk quite a bit. And it was believed that Eisenhower shared with JFK a lot of the things that he knew. And being the fact that Eisenhower was a hero in World War II, held some of the darkest and most terrible secrets regarding policies, meetings of the United States government, regarding its military factors and things of this sort. And regarding the belief structure Eisenhower had, he didn't have a strong belief in God or the Bible. He had more New Age or patriotistic beliefs. And oftentimes, when you're dealing with beings who are known to be outlandish, according to the people who testified of the fact, in fact, that was from like military officers who later on gave their testimony regarding some of the meetings they attended. It is believed that the type of demons that these meetings were conducted with, they're called today as the Greys, they're called Nordics, they're called Reptilian. In fact, they had meetings with quite a few different Nephilim species, all gaining different ideas, technological pieces, and certain contracts with them. The bulk of these contracts and its details have been kept as very deep classified files that will probably never see the light of day unless a miracle takes place. But even if it does see the light of day, we may not even want to comprehend it or even want to read how horrible the policies were and how absolutely unethical and absolutely sickening the allowance of these policies were enabled to be enacted based on things they weren't even too sure of at the time. I mean, do they really think these things are their gods from old? Do they really think they are the creators of the human race? Then who created them then? Do they really think to just take them at face value when they're already noted for being outlandish, making threats, making intimidation tactics, even lying? Does that sound like peaceful, advanced, intelligent, higher learning beings? Or does it sound like, well, people we would normally see within human flaws, human weaknesses, human things that take place on earth between mankind who are dubbed in the Bible as sinners? Isn't that interesting? That mankind has the weakness to be outlandish. Mankind has the weakness to be threatening, to be intimidating. And yet we're supposed to bow down and listen to a bunch of beings who act just as bad as weak old humanity. You know, common sense, if they really had it, should have been in place at that particular moment. Or maybe common sense was just some book written by another Mason who didn't believe in God and didn't much care about what the Bible had to state. Maybe common sense to them was remove the Bible and just go on your instincts. Is that really real common sense? Or perhaps is that just plain stupidity? Perhaps that's just a way to manipulate minds, spread propaganda, and encourage a behavior that is no better than basically when Jim Jones gave a bunch of people Kool-Aid and killed off his entire cult group, believing that they were going to go to some sunshine place without any acknowledgement to what the Bible always had been stating, and without any acknowledgement to the fact the reality of God is in everything, and we should consider all parameters. But all parameters were not considered at those meetings. No, opinions, majority opinions were considered. If your opinion was you believe in God, then yours was a minority opinion, and you probably may need to be thrown out of a window like James Forrestal was. But if you believed in patriotistic views and age of reason and New Age terminology, then that was the majority opinion at the meetings, and then you can come and attend it and listen to all of this garbage these gray-head, bobble-headed beings have to tell you throughout the day. Considering the fact they don't want you reading the Bible, and they would particularly hate it if you ignored them, which is what the Bible states to do when it comes to Satan. You're to flee from Satan. You're to turn the other cheek. You're to walk away. You're definitely not supposed to sit around and, well, let's see what they got to say. They kind of frighten me a little bit. Yeah, they frighten everybody, by the way. When people see ghosts, as they want to call that, which are nothing but demons of familiar spirits, what do people naturally get? They get frightened. But not too many people sit back and go, let me make a contract with them. Let's say you're selling out to the devil. And we pretty much know what people who sell out to the devil are known for doing, right? They're known for corrupting people. They're known for indoctrinating people. They're known for influencing people to the wrong type of mindset and the wrong type of ideas. They're known for really bad things. But of course, they don't pick the way to come and say, well, we'll appear as ghosts. No, they shapeshift and go, we'll just look like aliens and make you think it's a whole other thing. And you get scared and you get paranoid. Usually when that happens, most people also aren't willing to sell out their entire country, all their neighbors, all their kids, to something that they barely understand themselves. But it's that thing they're offering. It looks so good, that materialistic thing that they're giving me. I just want to play with that thing. I want to dominate the world with that thing. Yeah, go ahead and take these people out. We'll just figure it all out later. You know what? The ends justify the means. So, therefore, I'm justified in selling out everybody else out there because I figure that my means are greater than all of the needs and all of the present worries and all of the pressing nature of them being governors of the people and their responsibility to them. It's just completely ridiculous at that point because the ends justify the means. You know, my secret society knows better than the Bible. I think I'll listen to them. You know, my cohorts, my co-conspirators who walk around and betray people every single day, who'd have no problem betraying an entire country to their enemies. Why not? You know, that anti-gravity technology looks very good. You know what? I think I want to live on Mars. The heck with the Earth. Let's build some cities under the ground. Let's get in contact with the dimensional doorways of the South and North Poles. And let's, build CERN and launch ourselves into space, and we'll just save ourselves. There's nothing new under the sun. Nothing new at all. Back in Noah's day, they thought the same thing. They thought they could just go to other worlds and they'll be safe. And they did just do that. They went to other worlds. They thought they'd go to secret dimensional places, and they did that. But you know what happened? They all died. There was no escape from the wrath of God. He gave this simple command to Noah, telling Noah about a flood. And they were probably thinking, well, it's just water. What's that going to do? Apparently, it destroyed the whole universe. And not only did it destroy the whole universe, but when you factor in on what you're dealing with now, and what Jesus stated, that the end of days would be as the time of Noah, you should probably consider the fact you're being set up. You see, animals have a funny way of setting people up, particularly other animals, I should say. How lions get their prey, how foxes get their prey, how the cat hunts the rabbit. It's a rather interesting thing to watch that. The cat actually appears to the rabbit as a friend. It acts very cuddly and very sweet and benign. It's intimidating, it's fearful, but it's still allowing you to come in and think, no, I'm okay, I'm all right. And then when the rabbit drops its guard, the cat is all over it. And without mercy, it kills the rabbit and eats it, sometimes even eating it while it's still alive. But then again, they're just animals. It's no offense with them. It's not personal with them. They're just doing what they're supposed to do. But can you say the same thing with these higher beings of higher intelligence who are supposed to bring in an era of peace? You see, they do the same thing that animals do. They pretend they're friendly. Yeah, we're fearful, but we're okay. They let you get close. And when you get close, they're snatching you up, ripping you apart, and eating you up. It's interesting, cats won't even always kill their prey either, by the way. Sometimes they'll just open up that prey and kind of play with it and see what's going on with it, and then even toss it back. Similar to what these so-called aliens do when they experiment on people. They open them up, want to see if this works, that works, get them to do frightening, terrible things, and when they're done with them, I don't feel like eating this one, let me just put this one back. You see, I don't care what kind of technology they have. If that's the type of thing they do, and if that's their attitude about things, they have no respect for the human race. In fact, they would hate the human race if they have to treat you that way. What kind of persons do you know are good people who treat you like you're stupid, who lie to you and manipulate you and need to use intimidation of what they have in order to have power over you? I think there's a name for that. What is it? Narcissism is what that's called. But Eisenhower didn't mind. His administration didn't mind. They went to these meetings in California, New Mexico, and they sat down with Satan. And Satan, using the Nephilim, engaged some of the most horrible policies ever seen within the fields I just mentioned, within our country, and even around the world, by the way. For some reason, governments around the world seem to like our type of propaganda, our type of Hollywood entertainment. They want to institute that in their own countries, and many of them have. And you want to know what their celebrities are known for? All the same things our celebrities are known for here. You have to keep your children away from them because they like to touch children where they shouldn't. You got to keep yourself away from them because they want to destroy your family and break you up because they just love misery. They're known for narcissistic, vain, violent, discriminating things, and they take politics within a very biased nature. They're also known for things like unnatural desires and other types of things that are just really gross, basically. So with that being stated, this is what went on in the 50s under the noses of the Leave It to Beaver generation. And they look back and they reflect on such a peaceful time, but under the surface, it was anything but peaceful. It was terrible. Join me in a prayer. Lord Jesus Christ, I pray, Lord, for deliverance from demonic policies that are being acted within our governments. I pray, Lord, to bind these demons and to rebuke them. I pray, Lord, to expose to the light policies of secret societies that are meant for the detrimental harm of the human race. I pray, Lord, to save the homeless, the captive, the afflicted, those being held in cages, those being held against their will for the most horrible activities. I pray, Lord, to deliver us from ritual sacrifices and ritual murders and policies pertaining to secret societies. I pray, Lord, to please protect your ministers, your body, all the members of the true Christian church, and watch over us, Father God Almighty, as you always do, to direct our thoughts on what is right and true, and to rebuke out of our thoughts what are lies, that which is of Satan. I pray this by the power of your holy name, Jesus Christ, the King of heaven. Amen. If you'd like to donate to Shield of the Sun, we can really use it. We are very much a struggling ministry that can really use your help. Please go to www.gofundme.com. There you will find a page called Michael Herr Books and Education. If you'd like to go to that page directly, you can click the link in the description box below. Or if you are unable to do that, you can send me something in the mail at the address which will be in the description box below this video. I want to say God bless you to all, and I will see you with another video.
From London to Taiwan, I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.